This is the end of the beginning. Welcome to today's show. Obviously, sun blocking has been going on for quite some years now, not to the effect that it's going to be in the near future, but of course, most of us are aware that they've been blocking the sun. They've been using geoengineering, and they're now coming out, as you saw in a previous video, and talking about the government's going to admit to this, but they're not going to say that they've already been doing it. They're just saying, hey, we need to do this, so get used to it. This will make a better quality of life. They do these things, they do trials and see how people respond. One of them's going on right now where no one's seen the sun in a week because everybody's getting drilled with benzene, chloroform, or whatever it is, formaldehyde, same difference, right? But just getting drilled with chemicals. So I want to show you the predictive program because even the Simpsons has used this narrative. And over the last decade, we've heard Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, as I've covered, talking about how we need to do this. And I'll show you the Simpsons clips in a minute because the Simpsons always show us in advance, of course, right? And that's why it's still on the air after all these years. But I just want to remind everyone, please subscribe to my other channel if you haven't yet. It's really important you do so. There's only about 4,000 plus subs over there compared to the 15,000 here. So I know people are out there listening. I know you don't watch every video. I understand that. So I need to remind everybody as much as I can to do so. I know a YouTuber, you might know him too. He had a channel. It started beginning of June. It lost the channel within 2 weeks, and then people weren't able to find him. And that seems to be a common theme here. So I know that YouTuber went through it, so he told me I should probably have backup channels set and ready. So please do that now for me. If you appreciate the content, I'm putting out a lot of content. That would really help me out if you sub over there, and I can get that built out and ready to go in the event, of course, that something happens that's out of my control, which of course would be some hateful person striking me, some bigot of society. But anyway, let's get into this with the Simpsons. Blocking the sun. The world elites, the wicked, obviously want to do it, and I'll get into more about it in a second. But take a look at this. Isn't it interesting that the White House is talking blocking the sun, and yet again, the Simpsons have told us all about this as well?
Not while my greatest nemesis still provides our customers with free light, heat, and energy. Call this enemy the sun. Since the beginning of time, man has yearned to destroy the sun. I will do the next best thing. Block it out. Electrical lights and heaters running all day long.
Sir, every plant and tree will die.
Have you ever seen the sun? Take one last look.
So Mr. Burns playing the role of Joe Biden, of course, there. And blocking the sun, I mean, again, it makes perfect sense, right? I mean, what do we need sunlight for, right? I mean, what, just to tan? It doesn't serve any other purpose, so let's get rid of it. We don't need to grow food, huh? Right? And of course, they'll come out on TV and they'll say stuff like, oh, please, anyone. Scientists have said that we could still grow food if we block the sun, we could still grow crops. These people are crazy conspiracy nuts, and these morons will believe it. Even though just common basic sense would say, right, for anyone that's tried to grow things before, that if the sun never comes out, you can't grow stuff. That's why you grow certain crops in certain states based on the sun, how much sun exposure they get, and of course the temperatures, how warm they are versus how cold. Some states you can grow this, some states you can't grow it, right? You're not going to be having an orange farm up in Seattle, Washington, are you? Are you going to have an orange farm, or are you going to grow avocados in Maine? I mean, probably not, based on the climate and the temperatures, right? And the sun exposure. But they'll tell you, because all they have to do is come on TV and say that's a crazy misinformation. And then they just believe it instead of using their eyes and common sense, right? Oh, it's misinformation that people are saying by us blocking the sun that they're not going to be able to grow food and there's going to be food shortages. That's misinformation. Oh, and then 2 years later, when there's no fruit and vegetables in the stores, and the stores are closed and you can't grow in your backyard, these people will still believe whatever they're told, just like we just saw with the outbreak, right? We warned everybody for years. It happened. We warned in the beginning. We warned after. They still don't believe us. They still believe Big Brother. Despite all the evidence, they don't need to see it. They just need to see somebody in a white coat who has a professional job title and who sounds very nice, because of course feelings matter the most to these people, and they'll believe whatever they say. I raise my voice, so you can't listen to me. You're a hateful bigot if you raise your voice at all, but they can, of course, raise their voice when they're having spasms, because that's what most of these people ultimately are. They get triggered really quick. They're spazoids, we used to call them. But on top of all these things with blocking the sun, it's very important to note something I covered years ago. I mean, another YouTuber covered years ago about China. Remember that country, China? You know, the one that we're in debt to here in America? Most of our national debt, people think that the national debt means like your neighbor has credit card debt. You have debt, your mortgage debt. Oh, we're in so much. We're in debt to other countries, and the biggest one being China, of course. And we're seeing China's government structure being implemented here by the Democrats, right? Just differently, of course, because they would never put up with woke over there. But they're using a manipulative tool here to convince people into a communist government because they know if they told everybody that they had to live the way the people are living in China, that even liberals would be against that. They'd go, I don't want to live like that. That's a nightmare. So they're convincing them of these things, and then they're not actually telling them what it's about, hate speech, etc. And the next thing you know, we're China, right? But of course, that's what these people apparently want. And I say, why don't we just ship them there and let them live there, or ship them to an island where they can all live, and let's see how they live together in a communist society, right? Although, of course, eventually turn on each other because they're never happy, they're never satisfied, and all they do is complain. You know what I mean? The specific group of people known as Democrats, liberals in society, or Satanists, we could just call them what they are, really, the things that they believe in and worship, and idolizers, because they're the ones who worship all these celebrities and are influenced by them and are obsessed with movies to the point where they tattoo it on their bodies, or they go sit outside the movie theater dressed in their Star Wars costumes. This is, of course, the society we live in, and these are the people who think that they should have a right and an opinion when they act like children. But again, they're the same people who think that children should be able to pick their own gender at 3 years old. So we're living amongst the insane. But China, the point being, mentioning China, is how China has their own artificial sun. They have a fake sun, remember? Yeah, China made a fake sun. Anybody wondering what the point of it is? Do you think that they just were like, let's put billions and trillions of dollars into making a fake sun when there's already a sun, of course, right? Nobody thought about why would they do that. Was Xi, was he just like, hey, you know what? Xi Ping or whatever his name is, was he just like, I'm bored. You know what? I want to make my own sun. Right? He didn't want to, take that tax money and launder it into kitties or something else. Take that tax money and buy an island or whatever. He's like, let's take the tax money and let's build the sun. That'd be really cool. We'll build the sun. Huh? Yeah, well, of course, that was done on purpose for what's happening now and what's coming. Remember, this communist world order, China is the blueprint. China's got the sun now. And of course, eventually, when our government now telling us that they want to block the sun, well, wouldn't it be convenient when China rolls in their sun?
Now, China's one small step could be a giant leap for humanity. The Asian giant has inched closer towards creating an artificial sun. Yes, you heard that right. An artificial sun, human-made sun. Beijing has conducted yet another successful nuclear fusion experiment in the quest to harness the power of the stars. The aim is to achieve nuclear fusion, which produces enormous amounts of energy, but produces no waste material. To know the what and how of one of the biggest scientific feats of modern times, take a look at this report.
The Sun, the star at the center of our solar system, releasing every second energy equivalent to 1,820,000,000 Tsar bombas, the most powerful thermonuclear bomb ever built. But how much energy reaches our planet? Well, it's enough to give every single person on the planet a light bulb that will not dim through their entire lifetime. That's just a glimpse of the massive power of our star. Imagine building a prototype of the Sun right here on planet Earth. Well, China is doing exactly that. It has broken all records by generating extremely hot plasma for 7 minutes. Why are we excited? Because the project is based on nuclear fusion. If the experiment is successful, it could provide Beijing with an unlimited source of energy. And the best part is that there won't be any residual waste. So, let me explain. Nuclear weapons and nuclear plants work on the concept of nuclear fission. Here, uranium atoms are split, releasing a large amount of energy, but it leaves behind toxic radioactive waste. That's where nuclear fusion can become the game changer. It also works with the tiny atoms. But instead of splitting them, they are merged to produce massive amounts of energy. And eureka! There is no waste! And right now the conditions to produce nuclear fusion exist only at one place in our solar system, deep within the heart of our Sun. The huge scientific breakthrough was achieved in the eastern Chinese city of Hefei. The experimental advanced superconducting tokamak produced and, more importantly, maintained plasma for 403 seconds. The giant machine uses powerful magnetic fields which confine the super-hot plasma. As a result, hydrogen atoms are combined into heavier atoms and release energy in the process. For decades, scientists around the world have worked to develop mini-suns. For that, hydrogen atoms need to be heated to above 100 million degrees Celsius, and then confining them long enough so they can merge into heavier atoms to release huge energy. But China is not alone to achieve what was till a few decades back thought to be an impossible feat. The race for unlimited clean energy is heating up. Germany produced the longest reaction, producing a gigajoule of energy, while the US has the lead in producing first net positive energy production from a fusion reaction. Clearly, whoever wins this global fusion race could have a sway like the Arab world does over the oil market today.
Right, and of course the scientists out there talk about China's artificial sun, how great it is, how it's just this wonderful thing. An artificial sun is a great thing, apparently. Of course, this artificial sun project has sustained nuclear fusion reaction for more than 17 minutes. Cool. And it radiates a scorching 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit at the surface and about 27 million degrees Fahrenheit at its core. It's roughly 5 times hotter than the sun. So they'll pretty much say we could put this thing up for X amount of minutes. It could heat, give us the proper amount of heat. Of course, you'll never be able to grow your food with it or anything like that, but it'll stop global warming, they'll say, and everybody will be on board and want it, of course, because they're zombies. Thinking about the things that they actually are trying to get away with is incredible. It's incredible that you're supposed to elect these people, even though we know, obviously, they're not elected. They're put in these positions all around the world now. Okay, the NATO and the UN, the global order is in place. All the people are actors who are the leaders. They are not elected by the people. They're pretending that they are so they could destroy everything and obviously build this back up. But they are supposed to be there managing, we need better roads and we need better railways and we need better laws to protect human rights and all this stuff. No, what they're doing is violating human rights to the point where they're actually telling us that they have the ability and want to block the sun, and we have no say over that. Nobody has any say, just like they've done with the farmers, right? Oh, well, the farmers have too many carbon emissions. Don't mind the people flying around the country in private jets, if you're actually going by carbon emissions, who are doing way worse things, polluting, even though it's all bullcrap anyway. But according to their, science, they're the ones who are really polluting more than anyone, but it's okay for them because they have an important message to get out. Farmers aren't important because they grow food, the thing we need to live and survive, right? Food and water, right? So all the farmers are getting shut down and nobody's finding importance in that and saying, hey, we need to protect the farmers. They're the ones who give us food, because nobody's thinking about how important food is. 100 years ago, your day was focused around, work, but the whole point was that work, food, provide for your family that way. Now it's like, well, provide. I'm going to get a Bentley and I'm going to get this and I'm going to have cool clothes, because people take food and water for granted, and that's done by design. The government wants that, because when they pull it away and there's suddenly you can't go to McDonald's, even though that's not real food, or let's just say you can't go to a farmer's market or you can't go to the grocery store and get produce. Well, people are going to be like, wait a minute, what happened? How do we get here? Wait, we need food and water to survive? Yeah, you do. But they actually believe they need their phones to survive. That's what the government's convinced them, of course. So while they quietly are closing farms and stuff, well, they know people are going to go against that. So what's the next best step? Well, block the sun so they won't be able to grow. And that's exactly what they're doing. And they'll say, well, it's going to stop emissions. It's going to save the world. It's going to save future generations. All bullcrap. These people don't care about anyone. You think Joe Biden and any of these actors care about future generations? Of course they don't. These people show by example the way they live. They're all disgusting, despicable human beings. Goes for Trump, goes for Biden, goes for the left, goes for the right. All of them. And they're all working together for this. So they know to gain control of food, they would need to be able to gain control of all the farmers. And if they can't gain control of the farmers or people in their own property growing food, well, how can you grow food without the sun? You can't. So how convenient that it's the sun that their heart desires. See what's happening here? And these libs are going to be okay with it. They're going to say, For carbon emission's sake, we need to block the sun. At what point does the insanity stop? Clearly, these people are dictators. They are wielding, this is not power that they should have at all. Even if this was a republic, even if we voted for these people, they should not have this type of power. Bill Gates clearly should not have the power that he has. But people still don't see these people, how they have their hands in all of these things that are happening, all the things that are upsetting our day-to-day lives, all the things that are causing stress, all the things that are causing anxiety, all the things that are dividing us. How come Bill Gates is at the forefront? What we eat, right? Doesn't want us to eat meat. Bill Gates wants to put certain things inside of our bodies. Bill Gates wants to block the sun. Bill Gates owns all the farmland. Anyone suspicious yet? Right? Somebody get the cell ready for Bill. Okay? That's what everyone should be talking about. Nobody elected you, even in this illusion of elections, which we know, again, are rigged and fake. But Bill Gates isn't even fakely elected to any position. So why is he wielding this power? Because he has money? Well, there's plenty of people that have money, maybe not the amount that he has, but who cares? What do we care that the guy has money? Why does any common person, even though we're regular people, does anybody care how much money they have? What, so they could buy yachts and jets? Who cares? That doesn't mean they're better than you. That doesn't mean that they should be decision makers. What is Bill Gates? Oh, he started Microsoft. Oh, so now he's a genius and an expert on what food we should eat. Now he's a genius and expert on magic potions. Now he's a genius and expert on the sun and how we don't need it anymore, how we should all go to the beach and there shouldn't be a sun out at the beach. The sun should be blocked because, well, it's better for society. We don't need vitamin D. We don't need the sun. I mean, it's insane. These people are utterly insane who are in charge. They're sick. They're psychotic. Like I've been saying recently, I'm just comparing them to serial killers. That's what people should do. If we said tomorrow Jeffrey Dahmer was alive and he was president and Gacy was the prime minister of Canada, every person would get together and be like, this isn't happening. These people are sick. But because they don't know how these people act behind closed doors, they just think that they're nice people. They put on a suit, they smile in front of the camera, they say nice things. If they actually knew what they do, which we all know because we know how the occult operates, what they do in darkness, now people would be against it, right? So they have to think of it from that perspective. These are psychotic maniacs, all of them. And that's why they're doing psychotic maniac things like trying to block the sun. And again, The Simpsons just showing us again about it, right? No coincidence there. I thank everyone for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless all of you and your families.